Dak makes good money. I've never felt he's a money guy. And I don't begrudge anybody who wants to make theirs. But Dallas has one playoff win when they were paying Dak $600,000. A year from now, they're paying him $39.5 million. That is hard. I don't care how much the cap goes up, but it's not going to go up that much. It is hard to win. We have a resume and a recipe. Rookie contracts for quarterbacks and great guys taking pay cuts. Good to have you in today. So I saw yesterday, the Packers re-signed Aaron Jones, the running back, 4 years, $48 million. And the initial reaction is, oh, you can't pay a running back. Can't pay a running back. And whenever I hear sort of everybody is in one direction, my natural instinct is to turn into it. I'll give you a great example. During the pandemic, everybody's out of the cities. New York City, oh, get out of here. Chicago, oh, you got to get out of the big city. All those people that left downtown Chicago, it's one of the great cities in America, they're going to go to the suburbs and be bored out of their mind. And in 18 months, they're going to sell their boring suburb home and go back to the city and hang out on Michigan Avenue because that's where all the fun is in Chicago. And when you're 40 years old, you and your husband and your wife and the kids, and you want to have fun, you don't want to get in the car, drive to dinner, 55 minutes, or you can go to Applebee's in the burbs. You're going to move back to Chicago downtown. And New York City downtown, there's too much action. You go ahead and live out in Rye. There's too much action in the city. And everybody's like, oh, get out. No, cities are no good. Cities are great. That's why people lived in them. Pandemic was a nightmare for some people living in the cities. You felt trapped. I get it. But when I hear you can't pay a running back, time out. Aaron Jones, top 3 in his position in the league. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers is 37. You got 2 prime years left. And I'm not sure he's not out of his prime. 2 to 3 years left of the very best Aaron Rodgers. Get him help. 3, in all of Aaron Jones' biggest games, they win. His 13 biggest games this year, they went 13-0. The other games, they went 0-3. By the way, if he just rushes for 42 yards since he's been a Packer, they're 23-0. So in any business, when I hear you can't, my takeaway is, yeah, you can. Don't tell me running back doesn't matter. Now, there's some concerns. Well, it's a passing league. All right. Let's dig a little deeper. Of the 6 teams in the NFL that got the most rushing yards from the running backs, 5 of 6 went to the playoffs. One of those, Green Bay. Well, what about the wear and tear? Wear and tear is a big problem. Certainly is. When Zeke signed with Dallas, he had in just 3 years 870 NFL carries. Aaron Jones in 4 years has more than 200 carries fewer than that because they don't rely on him because they have Aaron Rodgers. So wear and tear doesn't worry me. Got banged up at the end of the year. It's a running back. They occasionally do. Even Adrian Peterson's been hurt. Zeke's gotten banged up. Great guy, great locker room. Gives Aaron Rodgers a star running back. The wear and tear, look at the numbers. Running games still matter. By the way, down the stretch, Tampa started running the football more. Gave Brady a break. Then he had play action. The offense clicks. Less turbulence. I don't buy you can't. Now, I don't think you should pay most running backs $48 million. But even if you look at the number, he got paid. He didn't get overpaid. 4 years, $48 million for a top 3 player at their position. If you paid Quentin Nelson, a guard, that, would anybody lose any sleep? He's not touching the ball 25 times a game. No problem. Smart move. Way to go, Packers. Joy Taylor with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
We're so moody about running backs. I mean, when Zeke was holding out, all I could hear was, like, you absolutely must pay Zeke. You have to pay Zeke before Dak. Zeke is more important than Dak. Dak's not going to make all that money. Why couldn't you pay Aaron Jones? They're so moody about it. It's like year to year.
Well, I mean, isn't the game really? Because to win a Super Bowl, you always need, it feels like about 7 great players. So Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones. They're centers, all pro. Zadarius Smith's pretty good. I mean, they got like 4. You don't Green Bay can't give them up because Shaq Barrett, according to a report 5 minutes ago, he's now signing back with Tampa. So Tampa's got like 9 to 10 great players. So, I mean, it's like you can't let one of your great players go.
And at that position, to your point where you touch the ball so much, I mean, look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have as many wide receivers as you could ever ask for. They don't have a running game.
And that's why they got smoked by Cleveland. Cleveland did have a running game.
But is Aaron Rodgers off the hook now?
No.
No?
No, they're still not as good as Tampa.
What? Okay, so they need to make another aggressive move this offseason.
I think they. I'll tell you a move they could make. Juju Smith-Schuster's on the block, slot receiver. So, I mean, to me, if it's an offensive-leaning league, I could find room for top 2 slot receiver in the league, top 3.
Uncle Colin made a rule, I think, last week that
if Aaron loses to Brady, no criticizing him because Tampa re-signs everybody and Green Bay re-signs nobody. But Aaron Jones is a really good start for Green Bay.
I agree. So with Drew Brees retiring, the Saints are in need of a new starting quarterback. They raised some eyebrows when they announced a 4-year, $140 million extension with Taysom Hill. I would caution you to actually read the details of that because those numbers sound extravagant, and they are, but there's a lot of voidable years in there.
Yeah, most of them.
Yes, 3, I think.
It's a fake contract.
Yeah, it's a fake contract, which happens a lot in the NFL. People get caught up in the numbers, but they did that to restructure for cap space. All 4 years avoidable. $7.7 million in cap space has been cleared.
Yeah.
But the team is also working on a deal to bring back Jameis Winston, who is a free agent right now.
So we'll have a quarterback competition for the Saints. That's what we'll have, a real one.
I don't love quarterback competitions in general because I think if you have more than one quarterback, you have no quarterback. But in this situation, I think that this is the only option they have. We all assumed Drew Brees was retiring, which he did yesterday. Taysom Hill, I don't believe is a starting quarterback, but he did go 3-1 last year. We know Jameis Winston is a starting quarterback, but he makes too many mistakes. So has a year in this system, tightened it up. He did have surgery on his eyes, so maybe that was an issue.
If I'm Sean Payton, maybe he thinks this way. Okay, I'm going to restructure Jameis Winston. He's got a better arm than Drew did.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to restructure Taysom Hill. He's a better athlete than Drew was. So between the two, I'm going to do 48 snaps for one guy, 12 for the other. And the combo deal is I can potentially have a better arm and a better athlete than Breeze. And you kind of do it for a year. Don't be surprised, by the way, Joy, if they don't draft another quarterback.
Right.
But, I mean, I can see where Sean Payton is saying, okay, I'm going to lose a lot, but I need at least one guy with a big arm, and one guy's an athlete, and I am going to creatively make that a 9 to a 10 win team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they're going to lose that much. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl contender the way that I felt they were last year because it's just so much inconsistency. But they've used Taysom in very interesting ways.
Oh, no, he's been when he's not the guy.
Yeah.
Very effective.
I think it can work for this year, and then you figure out what your long-term solution is next year, or see how Jameis is as a starting quarterback if that's the route that they decide to take, and maybe he is the future for the next few years.
Yeah.
So another team that's doing a lot of restructuring is the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has adjusted his contract for the good of the team. The Chiefs converted his $21.7 million roster bonus into a signing bonus, so that created $17.4 million in cap space this season. They are now projected to have $12.2 million in cap space, which is the 20th most in the league. It's also been reported that Travis Kelce and Chris Jones's deals will be restructured as well, so they could start the league year with around $20 million in cap space.
Well, this was always my argument. If you were going to sign Dak to a contract, the advantage is you can't manipulate the franchise tag. You can manipulate any contract. Brady's getting more money. He just restructured it so the Bucs have more money now.
Exactly.
And so Jerry Jones probably looks at Dak and thinks, I'll just keep restructuring it. And what you do is you keep giving some guaranteed money and push some back. And eventually, essentially in the NFL, the initial contract is never the real money.
No, it's never
Ever.
real money. The numbers to pay attention to are the guaranteed dollars. That's the money that you're actually getting. Everything else is going to eventually be restructured or moved around, and they'll get the money they're supposed to get, but it's not actually it's not a hard contract.
Right.
That's why everyone's flipping out about Deshaun Watson's contract. It's like, I mean, we just did 2 stories on 2 people restructuring 4 people restructuring their contracts on 2 different teams. Like, it happens all the time, and it's going to continue to happen because that's how you manipulate the cap. And players that know they have some security are able to do that. But these are not like, they're not blood oaths. Like, they can be moved around.
Right.
So the Lakers will be without Anthony Davis for at least another 2 weeks. The team announced Friday he's making progress in his recovery, but he's been cleared to ramp up his activity during rehab. Frank Vogel said they're going to be very cautious bringing him back, so he remains healthy for the playoffs, which is obviously the main concern, and he'll be reevaluated again in late March. He also said he is working on a new rotation to help reduce LeBron James's minutes as well. They are 8-7 without AD this season.
Which is, if he is a top 3 player in the league, is fairly impressive. 8-7 in the 15 games in the West without Anthony Davis. This goes back to the thing we talk about. I think he's great. Value? There's value there. But when people get into the most valuable player, what are the Lakers in 15 games without LeBron? Probably 3-12. They're 8-7 without Anthony Davis. Don't confuse unbelievable talent, icing on a great cake, and valuable. So is my Westbrook. He's great. Valuable doesn't make anybody better. Be careful about that word.
LeBron James is the most valuable player on that team.
For 10 years.
I believe in the league right now. Yeah. But again, this is still very concerning to me. I want to see if the Lakers make another move because you want Anthony Davis healthy for the playoffs. He needs time to get back in basketball shape.
I know.
It's very concerning to me that he has been out for as long as he has. Now, like, for the regular season, it's fine. We're not that concerned about a home court advantage this year and everything else, but he's got to be healthy through the playoffs, so they're not going to win another championship.
By the way, I just saw this, Joy. Multiple sources. Shaq Barrett, back to the Bucks, 4 years, 72 large. Bunch of it half of it guaranteed. So Shaq Barrett's back, Brady's back, Chris Godwin's back. Who else did I miss?
They still have Gronk, Antonio Brown.
Oh, Levante David.
Levante David, yeah.
So the guys you want back, they figure out a way to make it work.
And they still have Gronk, Antonio Brown, I think Ndamukong Suh.
I could move off.
And
if you look
their
at
kicker to figure out.
Yeah, if you look at where they draft, I could move off Ndamukong Suh. There's a couple good interior linemen, late first, early second. They can get one of those. So
Tom Brady's a happy camper right now.
Yeah, Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for